Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Love and Lore podcast, the podcast where we spread love through sharing our stories and life lore. And welcome to our final episode of 2025. I cannot believe we're at the last episode of the year. And I think it's also really cool and really crazy because it is our 50th episode. In the very beginning, when I first started this, I would write affirmations upon affirmations, telling myself over and over again that I've hit 50 episodes. I've hit 50 episodes. I've had 50 episodes. Like, I would write it all the time because I just could not wait for the day where I've hit 50 episodes and all my worries and all my fears would go away. And yeah, we're here now and I'm still terrified, but I am also so much more confident and I've learned so much over the past few months, and it's just really cool that we're here. And I thank you so much for being here and for supporting me from the very beginning. And I hope you had a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that you are looking forward to celebrating the new year in a couple days. I'm also doing another on-camera episode, so if you want to watch me talk in person, you can head over to the YouTube channel and watch me talk live. If I look like I just cried, it's because I just cried. I was watching Titanic with my cousins, and every single damn time I watch that movie, I'm always sobbing. And I don't know, I just love that movie so much. So that is why my face is very puffy. Okay. Anyways, this is another solo episode, and it's another one of those episodes for me to look back on and just see where I was at in life. And yeah, I encourage you guys to do this as well. Take some time to sit down, reflect, and look through every month and see all you've accomplished. And yeah, it's a good way for me to get closure for the year. And hopefully, if you stick around, hopefully you get to enjoy hearing my lore throughout 2025, because this year was a big year for me. So let's start off with January. In January, we kicked off the year by going on a trip to Portland, Oregon, and we went there to watch a basketball game. And I don't watch basketball, so I ended up staying behind in the hotel with my uncle and my cousin, and we went to Taco Bell, actually. And Taco Bell is a very important place because I remember my uncle Tita Juves, actually, he has his own episode. He was telling a story in Taco Bell about something from his life, and he's a really good storyteller. And I just remember when he was telling us his story, he just, like, it was magical. Like, the way he was saying it and the way he was so in the moment, I really picked up on that. And that was like the first thing, or the first spark that was like, wait, I should make a podcast, like something like this where I can just talk to people about their lives and they share their stories and their lore, right? My uncle was telling his lore to my cousin and I was just so I was like in a trance, and I was so interested in it, and the way he was telling his story and the way he just lit up, I was like, wait, I really like this. And if I could just talk to people in this way, it would be so awesome. And that was kind of like the first little inkling, like spark about, wait, I should start a podcast where I interview people. And that kind of intermingled with a few other things that happened throughout the beginning of the year. So that's why I wanted to bring up this Taco Bell thing, because it was pretty amazing. And I'm also very glad to have had him on one of my very early episodes as well. So shout out to my Tita Juves if you're listening to this. You are one of the first inspirations for starting the concept of my podcast, essentially, right? So yeah, another funny thing that happened at Taco Bell was I left my bag. I left my Oak and Fort bag that I loved so much. I left it on the chair, and we did not realize until we were halfway back to the hotel. And it was really funny. We ended up sprinting all the way back to the Taco Bell. I was so scared because it was a sketchy Taco Bell, guys. And we just laugh about that now whenever I think back at that Oregon trip in January. I just think of that moment, and oh my gosh, Taco Bell, y'all. It was good though. The food was good, but that happened. And yeah, that was my first core memory of the year. This was also the beginning of the spring 2025 semester. And at this point, I was taking biopsychology, developmental psychology, and social psychology. And I was also doing my school club. And yeah, that was kind of what was on my plate. And during this biopsych, developmental psych, social psych era, I was debating whether I wanted to do nursing or teaching. Those were like the big two. And guys, I literally did not know what in the world I wanted to do. I was going through an identity crisis, and I was changing my mind every single day. And I wasn't even that stressed out about it. I was more excited. Like, I saw just how many doors could be open for me. I never saw it as a bad way. I just saw it as like, wait, I'm on this journey and there's so many possibilities. And, having this many options at my hands is also a privilege. But yeah, I was really dead set on nursing. If you listen to my episode with Kate, you would know that I really wanted to do nursing. I would watch nursing videos every day. I would look at nursing courses. Okay, I can honestly make a whole another episode on this, but long story short, I was really thinking about nursing. And actually the course that I took for biopsych, it was the best course I've ever done at my school. And I was like, oh my God, I like learning about this. I love learning about the body. And so I was like, I'm going to do nursing. Anyways, I was on a big, nursing thing. And then also teaching, because I also had a really big passion for education. I was very much an academic weapon. If you know me, I love learning, and I also love learning. I love teaching kids. I love teaching other people things. And just the fact that you have this power to influence and to mold the minds of young children who will eventually run the world, right? I was also volunteering for an organization that revolved around working with kids, and every Sunday I would go to volunteer with children, and it was really fun. And I'll talk about a lot of this as we move on with the episode, but I was also doing that, and I think teaching was the more realistic option for me because I had hands-on experience and it was more me. I was not a STEM girl. As much as I loved learning about the human body, I never took Chem 12, I never took physics, I never took any of those things, or math, like the really advanced maths. So teaching was more realistic for me, but I was honestly willing to take nursing courses if I wanted to. So yeah, this was basically the peak of my identity crisis for school and what I wanted to do post-grad. And it's just also because when I first got into uni, I told myself by second year, I would have everything figured out. This was the second to last semester of my third year, and I had no idea what I was doing. Low-key still don't really know what I'm doing, but this was definitely the peak of it. January was also the month where my mom got really sick. She was rushed to the hospital, she was rushed to the hospital, and she ended up staying overnight at the hospital that night. And I was really, really nervous because this has never happened to me before, and we don't have a lot of medical scares in my family, so this was definitely a first. And also, since this was in my nursing era, I also tried to turn it into a positive experience, I guess, because when I did visit her at the hospital, she had an IV attached to her arm, right? So I was like, this is kind of cool. I can really see what's going on here, because guys, I used to watch like IV insertion videos all the time. So seeing that, experiencing it was like a way for me to turn it into a positive, I guess. But yeah, that happened, which sucked, but we're okay now. So another ongoing theme for this year is my school club. I think I mentioned that already. I was in a club, the Canadian Cancer Society. If you know, you know. Shout out if anyone from my club is listening. Hey, thanks for being here. But yeah, I was also doing that. And we were also starting this podcast called Daffodil Diaries, where we interviewed cancer survivors and professionals and talking about our club and educating people about cancer. So this was a new thing, totally new thing. And I got the opportunity to co-host that. And we were still, I think, at the planning phase for this. But this was another big push forward for me to start my podcast. Like, this was another spark that led to where I am right now. So it's another big thing. And for the people that I got to experience this with, you know who you are. We have a big event in March, and this was kind of like us prepping for that as well. So it was getting quite busy. And yeah, that was basically what I was up to in January. So in February, I will start by talking about my mom again, because she was sick and she was actually rushed to the hospital January 31st. So this is like right after we changed up our entire lifestyle. My family and I, we switched to eating really healthy foods, like much more nutritious foods. And we started like tracking her health, and we just made a lot of protocols and changed up basically everything. And we were just trying to recover, all of us as a family, to be honest. It really made me question how fragile life is and how fragile our health is. On a brighter note, we also continued with Daffodil Diaries. I think at this point we've already recorded a few episodes, and that was a lot of fun. And I really got to experience learning how to use GarageBand, how to edit podcasts, how to post them, how to navigate the Spotify platform. It was really, really cool, and I got to just experience a lot of really cool things. But I guess the biggest thing for February was that I really fell in love with my Daffodil Diaries podcast, and I loved every single part about it. Like every part about podcasting. I loved seeing the guests. I loved setting up. I loved the whole posting process, the logistics behind everything, the artwork, the interviewing itself, and hearing people talk about their stories. It was so beautiful to me. And then just more club stuff. Club was a really big part of my year. It still is, but a lot was going on at this point. In March, this was when Relay for Life, our event, it got canceled because of the snow. So much setup happened. So much work, so much communication, because we were also collaborating, or not collaborating, but like we had different sponsorships going on. We had a lot of marketing involved and a lot of planning. And then of all days it could have snowed, it snowed on the day of the event. And this was devastating. It felt like it felt like a death. Like it felt like a whole grieving period. And it was really, really devastating. We were silent in the room. We were almost done setting up and we had to pack everything up. And if you listen to episode, I think it's 7 with Ria, the episode with Ria, it's like one of the first 1 to 10 episodes. We were talking about how Relay was canceled and how devastating it was. So this definitely took a toll on all of us. And we just ended up rescheduling it in April, which sucked because it was final season and we had to reschedule all our guest performers, guest speakers, and all that stuff. So yeah, that was a tough time, but it's okay. We got through it and it taught me a lot about planning and teamwork. A lot of things. It was a big learning experience for me. March was another pretty intense month because this was the month my grandpa passed away. And if you want to learn more about his passing, or not his passing, but like his life story, you can check out episode, oh my gosh, I think it's 4. Episode 4. And it was another big stressor because my mom was already like pretty much on the verge of fully recovering. And then this happens and everything just like pulled it down. And my parents had to fly home to the Philippines really, really quickly. It was so fast. And I was left at home with my brother, and my grandma helped and just stayed with us to keep us company. And I remember just being really stressed. Yeah, and again, this really, really made me question how fragile life really is and our health and how much we have to prioritize it and being present with our loved ones, for sure. So yeah, my parents flew to the Philippines, and this was also the time where I was really able to experience living alone. Well, I was with my brother and my grandma, but I really channeled my inner independent girl. Like I was doing my own groceries. I was not cooking, but like preparing my own meals. I was going to school. I wasn't getting picked up by anyone, and I was just alone for a lot of the time. And it was kind of sad. I missed my parents so much. And yeah, long story short, a lot went on in March. In April, we rescheduled our big event for the club again, and it happened successfully. It was really cold, but it was a success and it was really fun. My parents were also back home at this point, and they were at this point like exhausted. Like they were organizing so many things, and they actually flew back again. They flew back again in April, and it was to sort out some other things. I don't really know what it was, but I just know that my dad was doing a lot of work. He was so exhausted, talking to lawyers, talking to doctors, talking to so many, arranging everything, right? So it was not just a stressful a stressful month for me, but also for my parents and my whole family. And then we also had finals in April, right? I honestly don't even know how I did that, but we did it and we ended up doing pretty well as well. So I'm very proud of myself for that. I was also still volunteering with kids every Sunday. And I really wanted to be a teacher, so I kept going with volunteering. And speaking of that, I applied for a new volunteering position for a different organization at this time. But this one was different because in my first volunteering area, it wasn't in a classroom setting like during school hours, but this one was an actual in-school volunteering. I actually got to visit a school and be with a kid. I was assigned a kid. I was matched with a kid, and we saw each other once a week, and I would set up like an activity for us every single week. So that was really, really cool. And I got to really see, it was really cool. I got to talk to a lot of the staff, not a lot of the staff, but a few of the main staff members. I got to talk to her teacher every now and then, and like it was really cool. And if you are wanting to be a teacher, I really, really encourage you look for volunteering programs like this. And if you have any questions about it, you can let me know. I can literally tell you everything I did. It was really, really fun. But yeah, I did that for a few months. Another magical thing that happened in April was that I began the Love and Lore podcast. I started the podcast. Okay, the timeline is really weird, okay? And I don't even know it 100% like fully, but I actually made the first episode in March. That's when I set up everything, like the cover photo and all that. That was in March, okay? But it wasn't until April where I fully committed. Another big reason for it was because of my grandpa's passing. And I just knew like, this life is so damn short. Life is so short. And if I didn't do this now, I don't know when I would do it. And I remember being on the SkyTrain platform, going home from the gym and just having the biggest urge to just start. The biggest urge. And then on April 29th, I had my first ever guest on my podcast, and that was my Ate Luisa. And to my Ate, if you're watching this, if you're listening, I thank you so much. I could cry right now thanking you, because if it weren't for her, I really, really don't think I would have continued. Like, shout out to you, Ate. I love you very, very much. So yeah, April was a pretty big month. And then in May, this was kind of when my podcast started to take off a bit more, but I was crashing out every day. On May 1st, I recorded my episode with Athea, my cousin, and that was episode 3. And I remember that day, we went to Bigway and then we recorded the podcast. I remember feeling so scared to record that podcast, and I don't know why. Like, Athea is literally my best friend. Like, I was so nervous to make it, and I couldn't stop worrying about it the entire day. And I was already thinking of deleting my podcast around this time, and I was only like 2 to 3 episodes in, but we made the podcast and it's still up, episode 3 with my cousin Athea, and I love it very much, and I love her very much as well. She is also one of my biggest supporters and biggest cheerleaders. In May, I also started applying for summer courses and officially applied for prereqs for the teaching program at my school. And I was so dead set on becoming a teacher right at this point. I remember so vividly, it was the moment I purchased my textbook for my math course, for the math prereq, where I was like, I'm gonna be a teacher. This is it. This is it. And that aged really well, because I actually ended up dropping the course about a week into the summer semester. So yeah, May 13th was another big day, because this was the day I deleted my podcast. I was just so done with feeling so scared and so embarrassed. I remember being like, this podcast is causing me so much stress and so much pain. Not pain, it sounds really sad. So much stress and so much worry. And the only way to get rid of this stress and worry is by deleting it. It's by removing the source of it, right? So I deleted it. And I remember, school was already in session, by the way. I remember going to campus the very next day, and on my way, on the bus on my way to school, I just had the biggest feeling of emptiness, biggest feeling of regret and sadness, and my heart was just so empty. And I was like, wait, should I like, revive the podcast? Because I privated all the episodes. I didn't delete them. I privated them to my YouTube. And then I was like, wait, why? Like, what am I doing? Like, I should put them up anyway. Like, I should give myself at least 2 more weeks, and we'll really see where this takes us. So I remember specifically, I should have been organizing my syllabi, but instead before class, I was sitting in this particular area. I know exactly where I was sitting. I was sitting on this chair and just like, I was going crazy, reviving every single episode, recaptioning every single episode, redoing my bio, redoing everything so quickly. As much as I was so scared, I just did it anyways. And yeah, it was the best decision I've ever made. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. It was the best decision I've ever made, reviving that thing. And oh my god, it's also so funny because the course I had before doing that was an English course that was another prereq for the teaching program. And I also dropped that. I ended up dropping every single prereq course I had for teaching, because I also felt like it was not my path. Something was telling me to not do these teaching prereqs. And yeah, I'm very happy that I drop those courses. And then I think what happened was that I went on a bit of a crash out rampage. And what happened was I would republish the episodes and then take them down again, then republish them again, and then take them down again. And it went on for a long time. Not a long time, a couple days. But that is why my episodes 1 to 5 were published on May 16th. If you scroll down, the reasons why they were posted on May 16th was because I had this whole crazy like crash out rampage. So yeah, there's a lore drop for you. But yeah, no, I couldn't focus on literally anything, and it was so unlike me. It was so unlike me because in every beginning of the semester, I'm always super locked in. I was focused on my lectures. I was excited to be there, but for the beginning of the summer semester, it was probably the hardest time of the year for me was the beginning of summer semester. I was also dropping courses left and right. Again, I told you guys I was going through a big identity crisis, but I dropped all the teaching prereqs and then had to reapply to these other courses for my psych, like a lot of things. On May 17th, I started work again at Playland. This was my 3rd year there, and I love Playland so much. I love working there. I don't know if I'm going to come back this year or next year. Sorry, I don't know. I really don't know. We'll see. I always tell myself I'm not going to come back, but every year I just spawn again at Playland in my uniform. But no, yeah, I started work on May 17th, and oh my God, I feel like I've said this so many times, but the beginning of work was also a really hard time for me because I was so scared about what everyone thought of me. I kept recording solo episodes as well. I recorded a lot. In the beginning, it was a lot of solo episodes. They were also so fun. They were so fun. Like, no matter how much I crashed out over them, I still had the best time recording them and posting them, and the excitement of having people listen to them it's just a really, really amazing feeling. And I would always feel so excited to go home and record an episode. So yeah, it was a lot of mixed emotions there. May 31st, we went to Nanaimo for my dad's birthday. That was also a pretty fun trip. I remember the evening of May 31st, we were in our hotel in Nanaimo, and I was tirelessly working. I was working my butt off to post my dad's birthday episode on June 1st. I posted at 12 a.m. June 1st, and that episode was all that was on my mind. Even though my body was telling me to quit, I posted it anyways, and I was so happy with it. And yeah, that was episode, I forgot, but I posted my dad's episode that day. And I really do want to go back. That was a really fun trip. I was also still in the summer semester. I remember doing some homework on the ferry and still low-key crashing out, still couldn't focus on anything, but I just had to keep going. I was also still working during June, and I was also vlogging every single shift I had at work. This was so much fun. So much fun. I don't know why I started vlogging at work. I think what happened was I vlogged the very first day of work, and then after that I just kept vlogging. I vlogged the next day and then the next day, and it just kept going. I never intended for this to be a series, but I vlogged every day at work, and if you're wondering where they are, they're actually posted on my private personal TikTok accounts, and only my TikTok besties can see it. So sorry y'all can't see the vlogs, but yeah, it was so much fun, and it definitely helps me get through each shift. But it was hard for me to pull up and go to work every day knowing that I started this whole social media thing. But I remember just being so done on my last shift. Usually I'm really sad when I have to return my uniform, but this year, guys, when it was my last shift and I had to return my uniform, I like did it so quickly. I was like, I'm returning this. I'm not coming back. I'm so done. But yeah, that was my experience working at Playland this year. At this point, I was still volunteering with kids every Sunday, and I saw my little buddy, my match every Wednesday for the in-school volunteering thing. So I was also doing that, and it really was nice to have so much things going on and really kept me busy. But yeah, definitely a very overwhelming time. On June 29th, I also hard launched my podcast to my personal main Instagram account. So all my friends, all my coworkers, all my family members, my relatives, I hard launched my podcast to them, and I have a video on my YouTube channel the night I did it, and it was really funny. It's really funny looking back at it now, but another scary night, but another very important night. Okay, in July, I was still working, I was still in the summer semester, and I was still crashing out every single day. I genuinely thought I was cooked for the summer semester. I thought I was gonna fail my courses because I was just so overwhelmed about everything. And like I had this whole vision in my head that this summer was going to be so productive and I was going to have my little podcast on the side and everything was going to be so lovely and fun and happy. But girl, I was just like crying every single day. I'm not even kidding. But I also kept telling myself it was going to be really hard before it started to get better. And I just kept posting and posting, and the more I posted, the more confident I felt. It was also around this time when Gemma, the host of The Psychology of Your 20s, liked my story. And I think I reposted a post of hers and she liked it, and that meant the entire world to me. She is one of, if not the biggest inspiration for me when it comes to podcasting. And she was actually the first podcasting account that I followed on my podcast account. So her liking my story meant the world to me, and I was going through such a rough time too, so it helped push me so greatly. And actually, guys, episode 300 of hers, it's called How to Start a Podcast. I kid you not, guys, I would listen to that episode every single day, every day, and it just made me so confident. I resonated with so much of what she said in that episode, and it definitely helped me so much. And yeah, again, she is one of my biggest inspirations. So yeah, to Gemma, if you're listening, thank you. Thank you for all you do. At this point, I also started choosing my fall 2025 semester courses, and I remember changing everything a million different times again, still kind of going through an identity crisis, but it was toning down a bit. On July 18th, I got my DJI mic minis, or my DJI mini mics, and these are the mics that I am currently using right now. I also did my first outdoor podcast episode with Megan, and I think it was definitely around this time where I was starting to get a bit more comfortable with podcasting and really start to fall in love with it. Still crashing out, still nervous every day, but it was getting better. And I think these mics definitely helped with that, that step forward. Gemma commented on my July recap as well because I gave her a shout out for liking my story, and she commented with a heart, and I will never forget that. So again, Gemma, thank you so much. It was also around this time when I started to teach drama to the kids at my Sunday volunteering. So basically the concept or the whole idea behind the volunteering thing is we teach kids and the kids have interest classes. So I was like, I really want to teach drama because I think it's such an important life skill. Like, I'll get into this later, but basically I reached out to the director and emailed him and proposed for me to start my own drama class, and he was so kind. And a lot of their mission is helping empower the volunteers and making a difference in the community and supporting their ambitions, right? So I was like, this is so cool. This is literally the perfect opportunity. And they said yes and trusted me and given me the chance to teach these kids drama. And guys, being able to teach these kids drama, that was insane because I love drama in high school. It has changed my life. Like, it honestly has made me into the person I am today. It has given me so much confidence, and being able to give back and give so much of that to the future generations it's awesome. And so many of the kids loved it. And the thing is with the program, a lot of the interest classes are like math or STEM, arts and crafts. And then there's like indoor outdoor games, but there wasn't anything like drama where they were able to express themselves in this way. And I got to see so many different kids' personalities in ways that I've never seen before when I'm teaching them math or STEM or anything like that. So it was such a cool opportunity, and I got so much love and support from it, and it was so amazing. Definitely one of the biggest highlights of my year as well was teaching drama, and it also fulfilled my passion and love for teaching. Remember, I told you guys I wanted to be a teacher, so this also really, really helped so much. To anyone from my volunteering organization who supported me through this journey with teaching drama, I thank you so much. And to the director, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I really do hope that the kids I was able to teach can take the skills they've learned and apply it when they go on to high school and their future endeavors. In August, this is when I started my YouTube channel. I made my first YouTube video. I was sitting right there where my keyboard is, and I was using like a really old tripod phone holder thing. I was recording on my phone. I was wearing a blue hoodie. It was a really cute first video. I had no script or whatsoever, but I had so much fun with that. Got my camera on August 8th, and I have a whole video on that as well, getting my first camera. And then I also launched my public Instagram account and my public TikTok account. Those steps were also very important. I have always wanted to do something like that, And I feel so happy that I did. And I also feel so much more comfortable posting on there more. And it's just something that I really, really needed. Like, I used to be super scared to post, but now I just be posting left and right. And honestly, I enjoy posting on my public accounts way more, or at least on Instagram. I enjoy posting on my public Instagram way more because I feel less judged. I don't know, with my private account, my private, like, main personal account Instagram, I just feel like every time I post, I just feel like everyone's side-eyeing me. I'm just scrolling through all the viewers, and I just know they're side-eyeing me so hard. That's just the price of whatever I'm doing, right? So yeah, just things like that. It really took a lot of confidence, but I'm so glad that I did it. And on TikTok, I love posting on my public account. And then for my YouTube videos, a lot of family from the Philippines and from the States and just like all over the place wherever my family lives, they were sending videos and screenshots of them watching my videos on their TVs and getting a lot of love and support from them. And I think a few of them have known that I've wanted to do this for a long time too, so it was really awesome getting support from them. August 17th, I published my first on-camera episode, and that was episode 20, my first bonus episode as well. It was I made it such a big deal. But it was a big deal. It was my first on camera episode and it was fun. It was a really good first experience. I'm actually sitting right where I made the video too. So really full circle. I also remember setting up the episode for that. And I had my whole I had my mic set up, my laptop set up, my lighting. And I remember just thinking like, this is my dream setup, and I was so happy with it. I was so proud of it. And then on August 20th, I hit 50 subscribers, which was another huge milestone for me. Now we're getting on to the September months. The Burr months have arrived. So in September, I would say this is the month where I really started to fall in love with podcasting and also starting the YouTube channel. Like, I wasn't that nervous because I already had the podcast. Like, I've already gone through so much of that anxiety that making the YouTube channel it didn't faze me. Like, it was like, yeah, it's just in the script already. Like, let's just do it. So yeah, I'd be curious if I didn't start the podcast, how the YouTube launch would have turned out. Yeah, I was still volunteering with kids every Sunday. And I think also at this point, I wasn't volunteering with my match, my little buddy, the in-school volunteering anymore. It was just back to my Sunday one. I was still teaching drama at this point as well. And yeah, the routine was I would post every Sunday morning and then go to volunteering and come back. And I think it was also really good just having that on the side. It just kept my mind busy and it really helped me navigate not social anxiety, but like posting anxiety and seeing people after posting. And also that community it's like a community where I can be myself. In Chahat's episode, Chahat is one of the people that I volunteer with, but in Chahat's episode, she mentioned how a club is like, or just something about feeling like finding your home and just knowing that these clubs are a place where you can be yourself and you won't feel judged and these people are here to support you. That's how I felt going to volunteering. I always felt so happy there and I always felt so loved and so supported there. So having that on the side with the podcast was really, really healthy for me and really awesome. So again, big shout out to my volunteering people. We also started the fall 2025 semester, and that is the semester that we just finished. I had my last final a long time ago at this point. And you know how I was in my little identity crisis? I think at this point, my identity crisis for nursing and teaching and all that, it just flew out the window. I think I just fell so in love with social media and podcasting and putting myself out there on the internet. I just fell so in love with this side of me that I just threw all that out the window, and I've never thought about nursing or teaching ever since being in the social media space. And it's just so awesome. I love this. And the beginning of fall 2025 semester also felt like a dream. It felt like I was in a different world because I was making YouTube videos now. I was definitely more locked in with my social media stuff. And I remember doing a week in a life in like the first week of school, and that whole week felt like a dream. And I went to downtown like every single day for that first week. And you know how in the summer semester I literally couldn't lock in and couldn't focus and couldn't even organize my syllabi? Well, in the beginning of fall, it was still pretty hard, but it was definitely a lot better. At this point, I was also having thoughts about switching from psych to communications. And I low-key still am thinking about that. That's the current identity crisis right now. I don't really know what I'm doing. All I know is that I really want to be in like the communications world, and the psych world can also be in that, that's where we're at school wise. But no, yeah, this semester was great. I had a great time and ended up passing my courses. I was also taking 2 communications courses, and one was about audio and one was more about like visual media, storytelling and stuff. So I was able to experience a lot of cool things this semester. I was able to go in a recording booth for the first time. I was able to learn a lot more about audio and making audio projects. And yeah, it was a really cool experience. I'm super grateful that my school allows us to do stuff like this. And at this point, I was already planning 12 Days of Lore, and I was fully locked in on it and started recording with people and just really getting that in motion. And I'm now going to jump back to my club, my school club, the Canadian Cancer Society, because I kind of stopped talking about that for a bit. But we finished, again, Relay for Life was our big event in March, and then we had like a break over the summer, and I was really considering not joining again. And if you listen to my episode with Ria, you can even hear me say that. I was like, I'm not joining next year. But look where we are. I ended up reapplying, and I am a marketing lead again, and I just have a whole different perspective on this. And I talk about this in my 21 life lessons, and I talk about like how everything's changed, and I'm so grateful that I took on this role. But yeah, I'm a marketing lead again for the club, so that was another big milestone. And we are starting Daffodil Diaries again, the podcast, and we are still currently recording that and in the process of making and planning more episodes for that. So that's also been really cool. And we took it a step further and started recording in the audio studio in the library, which is where I recorded my episode with Mr. Parhar and Chloe, and it was a great learning experience. And I got to work with a lot more like professional equipment and using Adobe Audition, and it's honestly just a blessing. Like the fact that I get to do stuff like this is awesome. On September 28th, I also posted what would become my first viral video on YouTube, and it was the What to Do When You Feel Ugly video. It currently has almost 10,000 views. I know it doesn't really sound viral, but to me that's viral, okay? To me that's amazing. I'm so happy of all videos that could have gone viral. That was the one video that did, and it made me so happy because it's so important to talk about stuff like that. And it just made me so happy. And then I ended up posting that on my podcast as well as a bonus episode. So yeah, definitely a core memory. October, this is when I received my credit card, my first ever credit card. I received it at the age of 21. I know that's kind of late, I don't know, but I have always been so hesitant to get one. I always thought it was really overwhelming, but I knew I had to get it at some point. So yeah, got my first credit card. Also, we went to Vegas for my birthday trip, and I miss Vegas so much. I want to go back. It just felt like such a party over there. And I miss the lights, I miss the nightlife, I miss everything about it. I miss it so much that even my lock screen is the Vegas Strip. I miss Vegas so much, and I vlogged it as well, which is really cool. It was my first ever vlogging outside of the country video. On October 1st, I also hit 200 subscribers, and on October 9th, I turned 21. And then I also recorded my first ever on-camera episode with a guest, with Avery. So Avery, if you're listening to this, I thank you very much for being in this really important milestone, because after recording that episode, I just became so much more confident with doing on-camera episodes with guests. If you haven't listened to his episode yet, I highly suggest you go and check that out, and also go subscribe to his channel. I was still teaching drama classes every Sunday. I was having so much fun, and on October 25th, I posted my Draw My Life video, and that was my dream video, honestly. Like, if there was one video I've always dreamt of, it was that one. I'm so glad that I did it. And another lore drop, I was originally gonna have it on my whiteboard, and I even bought a whiteboard for it. I set it up on my desk. I had my whole tripod set up, but I realized it was actually really hard to do. I respect every YouTuber who has done a Draw My Life with a whiteboard, because first of all, mine kept moving around and I couldn't center it, and also I didn't have like an actual like proper good angle set up to film the whiteboard. It was a lot of technical things that I never thought about. And also my whiteboard, I kept erasing things, and just doing it on my iPad felt so much more efficient. So yeah, but no, I'm so glad that I did that video, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. On October 28th, I DM'd Renaissance Cafe, and this led to me recording with Mr. Parhar, and he became a guest on 12 Days of Lore, episode 6, and that was a huge episode and a huge milestone for me. Alright guys, we're almost done. We are now at November, and at this point, I was just obsessed with podcasting. I love doing it, and I I still think about it every single day. Like, it's always on my mind. I love doing it. All the fears and all the doubt, it slowly started to disintegrate, and I really just became more confident with posting. And just also a lot of like side posts, like 10 things I love about podcasting, and also the intro to Love and Lore and the little slideshow for that. Like, I really love posting little extra fun things like that. I was also still posting on YouTube, and I was also recording a lot for 12 Days of Lore in November. Like, that was my main focus, was 12 Days of Lore. And I was also prepping for finals. I think I just got super lucky this semester because my final projects were, I'm not even kidding, they were due December 1st and 2nd. Like, that is insane. In my eyes, it was like as if the universe kind of paved the pathway for me already and just opened that door for me to really focus on my podcast and really focus on the series. So yeah, I really locked in and made sure that all my final projects were done before December. I also think it was so funny that my final exam, my final was on the 12th of December. Like, that's insane to me. And I was also able to make a study with me for that final, so everything just fell so perfectly into place. And I really do think the universe was on my side, and I'm just so blessed that my final season was the way it was. So yeah, anyways, I was prepping a lot for finals in November. It was also my last week of volunteering at my Sunday program, and it was my last time teaching drama to these kids. And I also feel super blessed because I had 4 rotations. So I taught a total of 16 classes, I think. So I just feel so blessed that I was able to experience that. On my last day teaching drama, they actually got me a pack of markers and they signed the back of the markers, and I just got so much love and support through that experience. I also decorated my room for winter. You can't see it, but I still have my winter decor set up, and I made a YouTube video all about that. It was beating the winter blues, and yeah, that was a fun video to make. My Mima arrived on November 15th, and I made an episode with her for 12 Days of Lore. I love her so much. She's currently sleeping. But yeah, thank you to my Mima for being a part of this journey. And I still can't believe she's here. Like, it has been a dream of mine ever since I was a little girl to have her live with us. And it's just so cool that she's with us now. I also recorded with Mr. Parhar on November 17th. That was a really important day for me, and I will never forget that day. I was also still doing club stuff for the Canadian Cancer Society. We're still ongoing with planning and posting. We are currently on break, so not a lot is going on right now. The group chat is silent. So yeah, we're all just enjoying our winter breaks. I did see them though a couple days ago. We had a little exec social, which was really fun. And then I ended up handing in all of my major final projects nice and early. The first one was the 5 pizzas one. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can see the 5 pizzas project. I had so much fun doing that. I actually, fun fact, I was having the hardest time locking in for that. And it's always really hard, like, when you don't have the final product and not knowing what's going to happen. It was very much half improv and half planned. And I was really struggling to get myself to do it, but the final product and editing it was so much fun, and I love how it turned out. And then my other final project was what was supposed to be my 12 Days of Lore Day 10, which was a little spin-off of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It was a Christmas spin-off, and I could post it, but I would get copyrighted. So yeah, I handed in those pretty early. I handed in the pizzas one like a week before it was due, and then the other one I handed in like just November 30th. So right on the dot, and I'm very happy with how they turned out. And I just had to worry about my last final on December 12th. So yeah, I was pretty much set for 12 Days of Lore. Now we are at December. So 12 Days of Lore was the biggest thing that happened this month. My dream series. I think you already know a lot about the lore behind that, so no need to expand further on that, but I had a great time doing that. Also, we received our first Spotify Wrapped for podcasters, or for creators, and apparently I have 28 listeners that are number one. Like, I am their number one podcast. Like, that's insane. Yeah, if you are one of the 28 people, I thank you so much. You are amazing. You're awesome. And I do notice, trust me, I notice everything. So my gosh, I really, really do thank you. I was also trying to make YouTube videos while doing 12 Days of Lore, and there's another bit of lore behind this as well. I told myself that I would just give YouTube a break, and it was important for me to just focus on 12 Days of Lore. And I was like, girl, I have to make a YouTube video. I miss my YouTube channel. Like, I can't just leave them hanging, right? So I set up my camera one day, and I was ready to make a YouTube video. I had everything planned out. And I kid you not, the first like 5 to 10 seconds when I press record, my power goes out. And the breaker, it does that sometimes. And it was just like the fact that it could have gone off anytime, but it chose to do it right when I was about to record a video. So in my head, call me delusional, but in my head, that was the universe telling me to just focus on 12 Days of Lore. I think it's just so crazy how the world works. Like, that is insane. So that's something else I want to share that happened this month. And yeah, I ended up not posting any YouTube videos for those 12 days. But yeah, we've picked up the pace ever since then. So yeah, and I've been having fun with those videos as well. This month, I've also been trying to balance everything in life, like with my gym schedule, my social life, and honestly, I haven't gone for the past 2 weeks. But it's okay. It's a busy time and it's the holiday season, and I just really wanted to take this time to relax. And I'll pick up the pace again in the new year. Also started doing a lot more on-camera episodes this month, which I'm so proud of. Like, when I first started, I never would have thought we would do on-camera episodes. And here I am now, on camera for the 50th episode. And the last thing I have here is that I've been watching Stranger Things. I've been watching Stranger Things season 5. As I'm recording this, volume 2 has just come out. And yeah, I've been on that a lot. I kid you not. I've been watching deep dive like theory videos every single day, every single night. That's all I've been thinking about is Stranger Things. If you want to discuss it with me through DMs or in person, I'd be so happy to do so. And yeah, that was the last thing I had to say for December. We are currently, as I'm recording this, it's Saturday, December 27th. So I still have a couple days left of this month, but honestly, it's just gatherings and seeing friends and family and celebrating New Year's, which is honestly, I'm super excited for. And yeah, that was pretty much a summary of every single month this year. This year has been the biggest year of my life. It really has been, because starting social media has been a dream of mine. I sound like a broken record, but I really, really have always wanted to do this. This year has also taught me so much about confidence and that I am so much more than what I think I am. I've been able to push myself so far out of my comfort zone. It has pushed outward a lot more things about myself that I never knew existed. Like, I feel so much more intentional about so many things. I feel so much more deeply about so many things. And I feel like this is honestly the best choice I've ever made. And I kind of touched on this earlier, but this year and this whole social media journey, it really has proven to me that celebrating small wins really does make a difference, a big difference. Like, as an outsider, when someone hits 50 subscribers, you would think like, oh, it's just 50 subscribers. But when you're in it, like when I hit 50 subscribers, I cried that morning. And growth is so slow. So celebrating every small win has been so fun for me and so important. And then just some final words to close off the episode. I know New Year's time and just wrapping up everything for December can be a very exciting and fun time for us, but can also be a very hard time for a lot of us too. We tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves to just get everything done and, you know, having to make sure the year ends perfectly. And it's honestly something that I've been struggling with, like being such a perfectionist and making sure that I accomplish all my goals. Like, when realistically, it's not meant to be like that, and it's okay. And just not being hard on yourself, okay? Because you need to still appreciate everything you have accomplished this year. And then tying to everything I said in the beginning, this is our last episode of the year and my 50th episode. And I just really want to thank you for trusting me with this podcast and for being here and for listening to me and for helping me make my dreams come true. To the guests that I recorded with this year, thank you for being a part of this journey. It truly means so, so much to me. And to those listening and for being a part of my journey and for climbing Cringe Mountain with me for the past few months, like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. I wish you nothing but the best and all the happiness in the world for the end of this year and for 2026. I'll see you in the new year. Bye!